You're allowed to rebrand yourself as many times as you want, and it doesn't matter if you're 30, 35, 45, 55, or older. So let's talk about that. Hey there, I'm Kathleen. Welcome to my channel. Here we talk about identity, culture, and transitions. I'm a writer, storyteller, and founder, and you can check out my writing on Substack where I talk about building a life and work aligned with my values with more ease and less chaos through identity shifts and life's transitions. So check out the link in the description for that. Now, today's video, I want to talk about rebuilding or rebranding your identity, creating a new brand at any age. And this topic, it's inspired by some of the conversation around Cheyenne Bryant, but don't worry, this isn't another video about Cheyenne Bryant. I did a video last week where I kind of talked about Cheyenne Bryant versus Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. And a question that I asked in that video was, why create a brand around this identity or this title, in Cheyenne's case, doctor? Why create this brand when your story is more than enough? So in this video, let's talk about rebuilding your identity, and I'll share a little bit about how I'm rebuilding my identity and career from scratch. Why do we even create these identities or these brands, these personal brands in the first place? Well, it usually starts in our 20s, and it's because society or our family or friends or peers or whoever kind of tells us and conditions us to believe that we have to have certain titles or credentials or, have specific lanes that we can become experts in. And I know I mentioned this in my previous video, but social media and the internet seems to reward people who present themselves as an expert, whether that expertise is earned or not. And so, add that to the conditioning that a lot of us received or heard or whatever the case, we create these brands or identities to make us appear, I don't want to say more than we are, but to appear a certain way. Because at the end of the day, that's really like what your brand is. It's your values or how you know, represent yourself or the image that you're creating. Let me know in the comments because I know that this actually happens. It's very common for many of us, especially women, to hold on to identities that we've outgrown. So let me know in the comments, what's an identity that you know you've outgrown, but you're scared to let go of? Or maybe you've recently decided to rebrand yourself. What's the rebrand? Let us know in the comments. But the thing is that it is completely normal to outgrow the identities or brands that you create in your 20s. Now, I'm in my late 30s, so I can say that in my 20s, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I still don't know what I'm doing. Spoiler alert, nobody knows what they're doing. But in your 20s, looking back, there was so much pressure, at least for me. I felt there was so much pressure to try to have everything figured out by the time I was 30. And so everything I did, even like when I went to grad school, I remember when I applied to the program and met with the program director, I remember saying to him, like, I need to have this degree done before I think I said 28. I ended up getting that degree at 28, but I remember saying to him, I'm like, I need this degree done at 28. And he asked me like, why? Like, what's so special about 28? I was like, well, because then that way, it will be a couple years before I'm 30. So then that gives me 2 years to like really, use this identity or use this degree or whatever I said, use this by the time I'm 30 so that when I hit 30, it's like, boom, now I've arrived or something along those lines. But looking back, I'm like, first of all, girl, what? But second of all, that identity that I was building at the time, I had outgrown that identity even while I was still in school. And now, again, this video is not about Cheyenne Bryant, but again, it's about the conversation and just like the observation of some things that I've seen because she is still promoting her book. And so, something that I've noticed is that she is still holding on to the doctor title. And I think it was Marissa Mitchell on Fox 5 DC who asked her, like, why hold on to the title if you can't prove or bring forth the proof of your earned doctorate degree? I don't even think, and this is nothing against Marissa Mitchell. I think that interview was, she was asking some of the questions that people wanted answered, but I don't even think that that's the question to ask. It's the same question that I asked in my video last week of why even create that identity of doctor when you never needed to. And even now, I don't personally, I don't think that Cheyenne Bryant needs the doctor title to continue being Cheyenne Bryant. I don't think she ever needed it. I think with her, I said this before, with her story and with just like who she is, she would have created a platform, a brand. She would have been helping people the way she wants to help people. She would have done that without the doctor. The doctor title isn't why she's able to help people. And in some of her interviews, I think she is starting to see, I don't want to say starting to see that. I don't know her, but I think some of the conversation is, there was a recent interview where she was saying like Oprah and Tyler Perry, for example, they don't have degrees or they don't have the degrees that she has, and that doesn't take away from the impact that they've made. So I think she's thinking that if, again, this is just what I think she might be thinking. She might be thinking that if she gives up or lets go of the doctor title, that somehow takes away from the impact, or maybe she's thinking that people think that she needs the doctor title to make an impact. I don't know. Again, this is just me like observing. But at the end of the day, this is an example, in my opinion, of holding onto a title that isn't actually necessary, and that, a lot of people hold on to titles or identities that they've outgrown or that they no longer need, because underneath it all is a fear of what happens when you let that go. And letting go feels scary because what's on the other side of that? Especially if you've made a lot of money from a certain identity or from a certain brand, you might be scared of, well, how am I going to make money without this brand or without this image? Am I going to lose people? Am I, just all these questions that I think is very normal. Because at the end of the day, building a brand, especially in public or online, it's not easy. And because if it were, everybody would do it. I can absolutely understand how scary it is to let go of something that, became a part of you, an identity or a brand. When you work to make it a part of you, or the work that you did to even achieve certain credentials or certain earned titles, yeah, it's scary to let go of that. But on the other side, it's actually costing you, because your audience or the people that, you're trying to reach, some people can see through that disconnect. It's actually, I don't know if people realize, it's kind of obvious when somebody has outgrown a brand or an identity that they've created for themselves and they haven't let go. It impacts everything. If you're a service provider, if you work with clients, and if you've outgrown the brand that you've created, your clients can tell that you don't actually want to do this anymore. Also, when you keep holding on to this identity that you've outgrown or that's no longer necessary, now you're spending energy, using energy to defend that identity instead of focusing on what's next. Again, in the case of Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, she's promoting a book. And the questions aren't about her book. The questions are about, her title or this identity. And I would be frustrated if I'm promoting a book, selling a book, and everybody's asking me about this identity instead of the actual book, So using up all that energy to defend this title that you don't actually need instead of telling us what the book is about, that's costing you. Now, you don't actually need permission to rebuild or rebrand yourself or create a new identity. You can just rebuild, rebrand at any time. You don't even have to disappear and come back, though that's something that I usually do. I usually disappear and then pop back out. But you can just, if today is Wednesday, you can decide, you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to complete a whole different brand or identity. I'm not suggesting that you do that, like, today's Wednesday, tomorrow you have a new identity. But I'm saying like you absolutely can if that's what you want to do. The point is that it's never too late to change your identity or your brand or anything like that. And yes, okay, let's be real. In rebranding yourself, there will be things that you lose. You're going to lose people who are only following you or rocking with you because of that identity or that specific brand that you built. But the thing is, that's not really a loss, because we all evolve. We all grow at different paces. We're all on our own unique journeys. And sometimes the people who were with us, they don't always come with us on the next level. Some people aren't supposed to. And this goes with your audience or with your supporters or followers as well. There are some people who, maybe they were supposed to be with you when you were branding yourself as an expert, or, as whatever identity that you created. But on this next journey or on the next level, there are other people who are waiting for you to rebrand or step out as the more authentic version of yourself today, not who you were when you were in your 20s, knowing that you are no longer the same person. And also, with any loss, there is grief. So give yourself time and grace to grieve that former version of yourself. And maybe that's also the fear that a lot of people have is grieving the former version of themselves or grieving who they thought they would be or would have been by a certain point. Because I think for a lot of us, we're holding on to the timeline or the idea of what we thought we would have or who we would be by a certain age. And so for a lot of people, the idea of starting over, over 35, over 40 or whatever, it's very scary. And also, I also recognize because I myself have gone through 4 periods of unemployment within a 5-year time frame. I also recognize that for a lot of people, when they lose something, especially if it's unexpected, you might just wonder who you are without that identity. And the thing is that's an opportunity for you to get to know yourself. That's an opportunity for you to ask yourself, well, who am I without the title, without credentials, without all of that? Decide for yourself who you want to be, who you are now, and who you're becoming. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.